Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. In last 3 days, we saw that how to work with HTML, and we saw how to work with like CSS, and also we saw like yesterday how what is JavaScript, what is the role of JavaScript, as well as how we can use JavaScript to manipulate web pages. So for today, what we will be doing is we will be introducing what is backend, what is backend programming, as well as how to code in backend, as well as what are the different type of backends that are available. So today is going to be really important lecture. So I hope that you will be listening to it. So first of all, I will be showing, I hope that all of you have installed Python, because if you are going to college, you must have installed Python. But I will also show you how you can install the Python. And second of all, that we will see like how PHP works, and we will also see how Django works. We will have a refresher of Python, where we will be learning some basic programming concepts. So if you didn't understand like a lot of things yesterday, so today we will be going over some of them in Python languages. Many people find it easy in Python, so I hope that those concepts will be clear for you. And then we will start with our actual project, where we will be like creating our orders website. And for today, we will be just playing around with the basic settings. And then tomorrow we will be working with actual databases, right? So let's start for today. So first of all, that I wanted to show you was to install Python, right? So let me start my sandbox, because I have already installed Python in my base machine. So I will just create a virtual machine and download Python, and then show you like how you can install Python or downloads. For some of you who may not have Python, or like you are having any kind of issues with Python, we will also see how like those issues can be resolved. So let it just run for a while. Okay. By that time, we can also wait for some people to join. I can see that there are still people who are joining for the meeting. So, okay. So first I will just open my Microsoft Edge. That is my default browser. You guys can go for any browser that you have. You just need to type Python download, and then go to python.org. And after going here, you will get basically a exe file where you can download the Python. So if I say download Python, the version that we will be working with is Python 3.11.4. So remember it, because there are some previous versions. So if you have installed the previous version like Python 3.9, or let us say Python 3.10, then some of the features may not work, because there are some features added in Python after like Python 3.10, right? So make sure that you are installing at least Python 3.6, okay, Python 3.4 or 6. So after the Python file is downloaded, I will just click on open file. And now this is important. So I will select install now, where it will include the idle and pip, as well as the documentation for Python. So basically what they are is, this idle is an IDE for like playing around with Python. So you can test the Python without like installing Notepad++, or let us say Visual Studio Code. You can directly open Python and write your start programming, right? So we will see how to use that to confirm that our Python has been installed on our system. Second, it will install is pip, that is a package manager for Python. So package managers are basically a way to install a package, right? So let us say I have 4 or 5 files, right? So let us say 10 files I have. Then you must know that we can create a zip file of if we like compress all the file, or let us say even if you don't want to compress, but I want to like package it together, then I can create a zip file, right? So basically we can create a package. Packaging is same like like creating a single file out of multiple files. And then what I can do is I can just write a simple command as pip install and then the name of package. What it will do is it will download that package from the server wherever that package is hosted or wherever that package is saved on server, let us say Google Drive or anything. Then it will get that file, it will install it on my machine, right? And then I can use it. I don't have to go on any website, download the Python and then unzip that package and then install the package or copy paste the files in whatever the location that is best for that particular package, right? So that is why package managers are really good. Okay, so make sure that you are installing pip because it will be really helpful, and later to install Django we will be needing the pip. Second is documentation. Just if you want to get access to documentation without going to web browser, then you can get documentation. Second is that you want to click on use admin privileges when installing py.exe, right? So that it is available to all the users. And then you want to click is add Python exe to path. Now, this is the most important path, step of installing Python. If you have not installed Python before, or even if you have installed it, let us say you are using Python in your, let us say your college computer, and you have not installed, you have got pre-installed Python. So make sure when you are installing Python on new system, you are clicking on add python.exe to path. Then we will be able to use Python command anywhere on the system. Else you will have to go to this location, that is users, and then the account name, app data, local Python, program Python, and then Python 311. That is path for my system, but for your system it might be different, right? So you have to go on the path of that different, that path that you have. There you will find a bin folder. I will show you where that is, and then you have to manually edit in the environment if you want to use Python command from anywhere. And for using Django, we'll be needing that. So make sure if you are having some issue using Python on your system, you are rechecking if it is installed correctly, and you are also rechecking that if it is already in the environments. I will show you how to do that. But first of all, let me just click on install now. Now, this is installing the core interpreter. As we saw that Python is an interpreted language. Okay, so you can if you go to Google Colab, you can just run one line of code at a time. So that is the that is what interpreted language is. In compiled language like C and C++, first the program will be compiled on let us say bytecode, and then it will run. Right, but Python you can directly run it line by line. You don't have to wait for the compilation. It will compile on the fly. Like Flutter compiles on the fly, I think. But let it just run, and then we'll see how to use Python. And if you are having any issue with Python, then how you can fix that. Okay, and after the Python is installed, we will also be seeing some basics of Python. As I said, we will be seeing some the important concepts. We will not be seeing everything about Python. Okay, I suppose that you already know Python, but we will be having a refresher on the important points that you need to work with Django. And we'll be also seeing how to work with XAMPP server, like how to work with PHP, how PHP works. Okay. So the thing is, when you are talking about backend web development, okay, particularly web development, so there are multiple type of frameworks available for the backend web development. Python has Flask, which is like a minimal framework. Okay, it will only install couple of files that you can start working on, and you can quickly start working on, right? So it will be really quick, but it will not have a lot of functionalities that Django, stuff like Django or Laravel. So PHP also have a framework that is called as Laravel. So those kind of framework has a lot of functionalities. Okay, you have to see, we will see what those functionalities are and how they differ from each other. So Python is installed, and because I'm installing it in a virtual machine, but if you are you on an older machine, let us say you are on Windows 7 or Windows 8, you will get an option just below Python on Windows that you can disable max length of path. Okay, so if you are having some kind of issue with like max length of your path, that is basically if I go to any kind of file manager, let us say I'm going to this file explorer. So I have this path, right? So that is, let us say this path, which is home. Okay. So sometimes there is limit to it on the on like previous older version of Microsoft Windows, there was some issue. So you can disable the max length. Okay. And after this, what you want to do is if you have installed it in the environment, you can just simply go to like your command prompt. So I can say CMD. Okay. So after saying CMD, if I say uh, Python hyphen version, then I will get Python 3.114. That means Python is installed on my system. Okay, I can use Python. Now, I can also check if pip is installed. So pip version, I will get the version of pip, that is pip 23.1.2. Okay, and if you are getting some error in, if you are like on your command prompt and if you are not getting Python, then issue might be that you want to search for env, and after searching for env, you will get an option of edit the system environment variable. You have to click on the edit system environment variable and then click on environment variable and then click on this path. Okay. So if you double click on the path, then you have to just add your installation of Python. So let us say the path of Python install, and then you have to go to bin directory, and inside bin you just have to like go for python.exe. Okay, and that will do, and then you have to click on OK. Yeah, so I will not install it. That was just like for testing purposes only. So I already have it on environment, so I don't need it. So you just have to click on OK, 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 and even if it is not working, just restart your PC once, and then it will start working. So this is how you like install Python. Okay, so I hope that all of you will be able to install Python then. Then what we want to do next is, so let us see what is was we need to install. Yeah. Next thing we need to install is that is SQLout 3 browser. Just search for this DB browser for SQLite. Okay, click on it, and then you will get the download page. So go to download, and then you want to install DB browser for SQLite in standard installer for 64-bit Windows. And if you have 32-bit, I don't think anyone will have. You can do that. So after downloading 64-bit, just click on next, 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 and you don't need to like change anything. Just click on next, and it will be installed. It takes like I think 20 seconds only. I already have it installed. So if I show you like see this. So this is like DB browser SQLite. We will be needing that. So on today, when we are working on the project, we will be using SQLite because we are not learning databases today. Okay, so we will be learning databases tomorrow. So we will tomorrow see how to work with like actual databases. Like you know, SQLite is something that you can get directly from the Django. When you install Django and when you like start your project, you will get a SQLite file also. So, but if you want to view that file, you have to like get DB browser for SQLite. That is only way to like view a SQLite file. Second is for MySQL, you can directly install MySQL and also Workbench. In fact, when we'll be installing the PHP, we will be getting MySQL with that also. So I will just stop it for now. And next thing is that if you want to like run Python on your system, then you need to install the XAMPP. So double click on XAMPP. I will not install it, but I will show you how to install it. Okay. Like I will not finish the installation. I will stop it in between. But what you guys can do is, so there are like couple of steps if you that you have to follow if you want to install XAMPP and use XAMPP. Like many of you may be interested in PHP. Okay, when we will be seeing the example of PHP, you will realize that actually PHP is really easy. Okay, it is the most easiest programming language that you can use to get started with the backend programming. Okay, backend web development. I can say like specifically. So when you are working with the web development, PHP was like made for backend. Okay, you will see that we can actually write PHP in the HTML file itself, and we will be able to write PHP inside the HTML file. And there is actually a tag for PHP also. So it will take like quite some time, okay, for XAMPP to load. So it will say welcome to XAMPP. So XAMPP is basically it will create okay, just you can ignore this. You will get there again. What you have to do was you have to like run it as an administrator, but we'll be running it on the user. I will just click on next. And then now we want to install MySQL. We don't want FileZilla on my system. Okay, when we'll be uploading our PHP website that we have created in like upcoming sessions, we will get FTP like on the web server itself. So, but I don't want to install a FTP web server on my base system, right? So this is your laptop. Don't install. I wouldn't like say, but if you want, you can go ahead and do it. I will also not like install Tomcat or Mercury. Okay, they are also other base servers and again. So I have PHP will be by default installed. It is giving option of Perl. I will also not install that, but I will install PHP MyAdmin, right? And then I will not install Webalizer and the fake send mail. Okay, that is for the like mail servers. So remember that we will be needing Apache, which will be installing by default because we will be using Apache server to serve our website to the public. Okay, so if anyone want to get access to my website, so what I have to do is first I have to start my Apache server. It will assign some DNS or like IP address to it, and then if I give my IP address or domain name to you, then only you will be able to access my website. And if the server is not running on my system or on my server, then the website will not be accessible. Sometimes you get the error of like website is not reachable, right? On if you visit on any website, that is probably because their server is not running right now due to some issue. Then I will install Apache, MySQL, PHP, and PHP MyAdmin, and then I will just simply click on next, next. Okay, so it will start installing. Okay, let me just install it for you. Okay. It shouldn't, it will take like some time because it is actually installing an actual server on your system. It is also installing MySQL. It is also installing PHP as well as like it is installing PHP MyAdmin, right? So because it is installing 4 different programs, and if you want to like install each of it separately, then I think you have to download PHP that is around 20 to 40 MB, and then the MySQL is around 200 or 400 MB if you are installing the entire package. And again, Apache is also there, right? So if you want to install it separately, it will take some time, but XAMPP will also take some time. Okay. So, but there is also some setting that I will recommend you. Sometimes what happens is when you are running XAMPP on your system, uh, the server will not start due to some issue. That is because you want to like change the property of your like PHP exe, and I will also show you like how to set up PHP on your system, right? So in VS Code, actually you have to add PHP, and if you want, it will not like just like Python, it will not directly. I can say that when you have installed Python and you go to Visual Studio Code, you don't have to provide any path to Python, right? So it can directly access it. But for PHP, you have to provide the path. So we'll see how to do that. Okay, as I said, it will take some time, but while it is taking some time, what I can show you is that is one of the websites that I have created in PHP. So I hope that you can see my screen. So you can see that the name is yashchandra.000webhostapp.com doctor search. Right. So this is a website that I had created in Hackweather for like other interns who are already working there to like give like when I was giving them some training on like web development using PHP. So that is when I had created it. Okay. The website is created using Figma. All of this design is actually created using Figma. I have a training session video of Figma also. that I had given to the interns. But what I can show is that in this website, the main backend is written in a PHP. I will show you like how this actually works and how actual PHP works on your system and how you can use the PHP. So the basic functionality of this website is, let us say first go to design. So we have previously seen, there is a navigation bar, right? There is a main section. There is this search section where I can enter two values and click on the button to search. There is this location where I can get like XYG hospital, or let us say it is currently in the Mumbai location of different kind of hospitals. Like let us say you are running a chain of hospitals, so they might be in a different location. And then services section, and then the main whatever section is there. We have already created, we have like only created till here, but you can go ahead. We will be also seeing like how to create this in a bootstrap, right? So if I just search for like, let us say if I just click on search, then I will get this information like doctor found in your area, then name and Mumbai. This is just for like testing purposes, for the training purposes. That is why I have not added any kind of validation, like if the string is empty, then what to do, right? Even if the string is empty and in the database itself, only one information is there. So that is why only one doctor is visible right now. Okay, so we'll be seeing how to do that. So if I just go on the like this 000 web host app, so this is what you call a C panel. Okay, let me just refresh it for now. Okay, so every time you create a backend, like a website, and you have a backend, you you have to run that backend on a server, right? But you cannot, if let us say I'm creating a website on my base system, then I cannot have my base system running all the time, because the moment I close my base system, the overall website will also go down. So what I will do is I will go on a server and I will store my website on that particular server. What cPanel does is that it provides me a GUI to access my server. What it is, that let us say I'm currently on 3.0 web host, so that means I'm using the free tier, right? So in free tier, I got some space on their server to place my files as well as to create a database. Okay, so my files are currently stored in 3.0 web host server, as well as my database is created in the 3.0 web host MySQL client that they have. I can access it through cPanel. Various websites have different kind of cPanel. Okay, their GUI might be different. For 000 web host, the GUI is really good, I would say. But there is also like GoDaddy, where GUI is kind of like outdated, I would say, but it is still good. All of them are like particularly same, because let us say if you click on File Manager, then you will go to Files and you can click on like backup. It is saying premium because I'm currently on free version, and free version doesn't provide like FTP accounts, which was we saw in the FileZilla, right? There was a FileZilla FTP when we were installing the XAMPP. This function is also provided. That will, what it will do is, if I can create like FileZilla, that is a software. If I download that, install it, and then if I add the like login and password of my server, then I can access all the files of that particular server. Okay, we have used that previously when I was working in when like I am working in Hackveda. So we have used that. We use like FileZilla to store our like websites. When I store my like when I store my files on website, that file will be visible on the like web page. When I visit that website, those changes will be visible. That is what we can do. We can also change the domain. We will be seeing that when we will coming to the deployment section. So okay, so I think this has completed installing. Just click on allow access. Okay, so it is almost done. So what I can do is, if I just go on File Manager. Okay, so in PHP, we have like specified way of storing file. So there is always public underscore HTML. On 000 web host, we have public underscore HTML. And if you are installing PHP on a Linux system, you will also get public underscore HTML. But on Windows, it is different. That is why I wanted to install and show it to you so that you don't get confused. Currently, the server is running probably on a Linux system. So that is why I have public underscore HTML. And if I go here, you can see that I was showing you the doctor search. So if I just click on the web service one.php, then you can see that I have my PHP code. So in PHP, if I want to connect to the database, I have to connect it through PHP itself, okay? Or I have to create a separate file with like, let us say con.php and store my information of database in that file and then import that file in a different PHP file, right? So yesterday we saw we have modules in JavaScript, right? So that I can use content of one JavaScript file into a different JavaScript file. So PHP is also there, but if we have the file on the same directory, right? So I just have to say that include and the name of or the path of that particular file, and then I can use the content of that file in my current file, right? So currently I only have like one file. So you can see that if I want to like have my business logic, I can just write it as well as I can make request to the database. I have like SQL, then select ID, doctor name. You must have seen the SQL queries. So this is how we make SQL queries. What we do is we write a select statement to select a particular, let us say ID, let us say a column name from which table. Okay, we will be creating a table and then we can get whatever information we want. We will see it in depth tomorrow, like what are SQL, what are tables, and how to access those tables, how to make changes in those tables. So this is how basically PHP work. You don't get anything. All you get is like if I let us say yeah. So finish. Yeah, so this is the panel you will be getting. Okay, you just have to click on Apache. I have Apache and SQL, MySQL selected. I did install FileZilla, I did install Mercury, and I also did install Tomcat, right? So I just have to click on start and start. Then my server will start, but I don't want to start it right now. So this is one of the error you get, and easy way to fix this error. We just close it. Okay, so this is the problem with the error. It hangs your system sometimes. So I just have to go in XAMPP and then end the task. Okay, I have ended the task. Now what I will do is I will go here. On the start, I have see the XAMPP control panel. I will just right click on it. I will say open file location. And then I can, this is again a shortcut file. So again, I have to click on open file location. And now I have the actual file. So I will right click on it. I will say show more option on Windows 11. On Windows 10, you will directly get this right click context menu, click on properties. And then what you have to do is you have to click on compatibility and then say run this program as an administrator. Then you will not get any kind of admin access issues, right? So we are getting the issue of admin. So now this problem will not happen. And when you install XAMPP on your system, what it does is it on the C drive, there is a folder named as XAMPP newly created. It will go there and then you can see the htdocs, right? So click on htdocs. And now this is your actual like content. What you can do is you can just cut this and then create a new, let us say old, and paste it here, right? So now here you can create your project. Okay, so I can just create a new folder and then the folder name will be, let us say, project one, right? So this is my actual project. And now if I want to work with the project, what I have to do is I simply have to create a file name index.php. Okay. Now this file is created and I can write my PHP code in this particular file. So this is how we basically work with PHP. I just wanted to give a quick look at it so that in future when let us say in training session of REST APIs, you will be working with PHP. I will be showing you how to create that website so that you have like two different projects out of this training. You can know, you will have like experience with using actual framework, like a backend framework, as well as like creating website without using a web framework like Django. Okay, so you'll be coming to it, how to use it, right? But just install the XAMPP for now, or you can explore it on your own, because we will be not be like having in-depth training session on PHP itself. So and second thing is that in the XAMPP, if you just go on this PHP folder under the XAMPP folder, then what you have to do is you have to click on this php.exe and then copy the path of this PHP file. So there is option of copy as path. On Windows 10, you can click Control Shift C, and then in the VS Code, what you have to do is you have to paste that path, when it will prompt you for that, right? But for now, let's look at Python, how to use Python and how to work with Python. So after you have installed Python and XAMPP, now first we will look at Django. Today we will be looking at how to create a project in Django, and we'll be also like completing at, I would say, 30 to 40% of our project. Okay, not even 30, I will say 20 to 30% percent of our project. And then tomorrow we will looking at MySQL, and then we'll look at how to make requests to the server. We will be also looking at how to work with PHP, and then we'll be deploying that, and then we'll complete our project if it is there is some part remaining, right? So let me come here and say backend. Okay. So let me open it with VS Code. Right. So I have this folder. So what I will be doing is, first of all, let us say, so index.html, right? So we will create a HTML file, and we will be also like if I want to just create the index.html file, right? So when I'm working on a client side, okay, currently if I have index.html, this index will load on client side, right? But what I can do is I can install Django, and then copy and paste all the files of Django, or let us say install Django on a server, and then run the code on the backend itself. It will not run on the front end. Okay. So let me come here. So if you can see, then yeah. So if I just say F12, okay, and then if I come here, you will see that I only have HTML pages, right? So there is nothing PHP. Even if I'm writing the PHP inside the HTML, it will not be visible. And same is happening with Python also, right? So when I'm writing the Python code, it will not be visible to the client side. Only thing that will be visible on a client system. So let us say if I go on any website, let us say if I go on google.com, so if I go on a developer option, so just click F12, right? So now Google might have a different database, okay, and Google might also have a different backend language. Let us say they are using Python or anything, okay, but I will not be able to see that. If I just click on here and go to application, now you can see I have this storage section, right? So if I just go on the local storage, okay, so yeah, so they have we have different kind of storage where I can store particular file on the client system. Okay, we will be working with local storage tomorrow, how to work with local storage. But for now, say that if I go to storage, okay, then I can get particular information like what is being stored on my system by google.com. Okay, so see, they are storing some kind of information on my system, okay, and then they are using it on their backend also. Similarly, they are storing the cookies. I can see that what cookies they are storing. Okay, all of this is I would say doesn't really make sense to us, but it does make sense to them. They are also giving path and then the size of the cookie and everything. Okay. There is also cached data as well as a shared data. Okay. So this kind of data is there, and we also have a sources tab, right? So application is for the storage, what is being stored on a user system, and sources is like what files are downloaded from server when I load a website, right? Because everything about my website is stored on a server. Every time I visit a website, some files are loaded, right? So, and they are downloaded and stored on my local system. Okay, that is why it consumes some internet data when you are visiting a website, because some websites have like some kind of files that are being sent over to your system. Okay, whereas there are websites like YouTube where they're streaming, where it is a streaming system, right? So you are watching a video, so that video is being streamed, so it takes internet. But whenever you load the data, you will see that some internet has been consumed. That is because they downloaded some file from the server. Now you can see that you will see mostly like images are downloaded. Okay, then the JavaScript file is being downloaded. You can see that JSBG, and then the logo is downloaded. There is also some other file. There is like add service, and then the Ajax. We will see what is Ajax when we are working with the REST API, but it is part of JavaScript. We have not looked at it because it will become really hard for you to keep up with this if I like give you all the information at once. Now, second will be like all the fonts. So fonts is basically the CDN data, right? So yesterday we saw that we can install the Bootstrap CDN. Okay, basically Google is using some kind of fonts. So whatever font is there, it is being installed from that CDN and it is stored in my browser. Okay, if I delete this CDN or for some reason CDN is not imported, I will not see the CDN information in the sources. That means some part of the website will not work as expected. Then I will have like other data like APIs and everything. But see, if I show you this, then it is basically some file, which is basically a JavaScript file. See, we have seen like function A, and then this is like JavaScript syntax, right? So only and only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files are loaded. And even if we have some PHP or Python code in between, that will not be loaded. Okay, we will be seeing what is templates in Django. Then you will understand it better that whatever I'm writing in a template, that is actually being rendered as an HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So remember this, that only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is being rendered on the client side, and whatever is being related to the backend stays in backend. Okay, only and only the data is transferred to the front end. So let's have a quick refresher of Python for now. We saw the PHP. We can actually have quick. So if I go on syntax, so just like how we have HTML tag, I can say like opening arrow bracket and then question mark, then PHP, and then question mark, and then closing arrow bracket, and I can write the PHP code there. See, I have h1 tag and then I have PHP, and if I say try for yourself, then you can see that hello world is being printed as it is. And if I let us say h1 tag, right? Okay, it will, yeah, see, it says hello world in H1, right? So this is how we write actually PHP. This is why I said that this is really easy to write PHP. Okay, because this PHP code will be visible as heading one hello world when when I will check it with the developer tools. So on system, even though I am writing the PHP inside my HTML document, it will not be visible as a PHP. Okay, that is why I said that this is really easy for you to start working with PHP, and we'll be seeing that in action in later training session. But for now, let me have quick reflection on like some of the important concepts of Python that you will be needing, that you will need. So if I just go on like syntax of Python, you will know that to print anything, you just have to say print, oh, and then bracket, and then hello world. In JavaScript, what we had was alert and then in bracket and whatever you want to be alerted on a window. And for document, you had document that dot write and then whatever you want to print, right? And for HTML element, it was inner HTML and then whatever you want to print. But for Python is basically like you don't have brackets. It is basically indented. So when you want to like make a bracket, or let us say you want to make a scope. Yesterday we saw that there is function scope and global scope, right? So whenever you want to make a scope, so for this if statement, after this colon and the indent, this particular area is scope of this if statement. Okay, so that is the scope in Python basically. But let's see. So Python variable, as we saw that variable a container for storing data, you can think of variable as a bucket, like a water bucket where you can hold anything you want, right? So in a bucket, you can store water, or you can also store some other thing that will fit on that particular bucket. Okay. But variables are like, as you store data, their size will keep increasing based on like whatever is relevant. But if you are out of memory, that basically variable cannot grow like bigger than the memory itself. But they are, I would say, dynamically stored. You can have as much storage as what as you want, and the memory will make space for the particular variable. Or in there are languages where you can like stop it also, this kind of behavior. But for now, understand that variable are container for storing the data. And if you want to make variable, so in JavaScript, what we have to use var, let, or let us say const, right? So var x equal to 5. But in Python, you don't have to declare a variable. You can just say x equal to 5 and the variable will be declared, right? And what it does is it also gives me a way to like directly initialize a variable inside a loop. So in for loop, what we had was for bracket, and then I had to say let I equal to 0, right, in the JavaScript. But here I can say for I in like particular list or array, then I can just run it. Like I don't have to use keywords like let or var. I can just simply write x equal to 5. And if I say try for yourself, then you can see I have 5 and John, because x is 5 and y is John, right? And so these are the variable, really easy. In Python, if we come to the data types, so in JavaScript, we had a lot of data type, right? So there was undefined and null and everything. But in Python, we only have like 4 major type of data type. There are also other data type, but for majorly, there are only 4 data type that we should know as like when we are working in Django. That is, there is string, there is integer, there is float, and there is boolean, right? So what it is that string is basically you can write any string value, whereas in integer you can only write the integer value like 1 2 3 4 5, whereas in float you can write decimal value, so 1.1 1.01, or let us say the 5.9. So this information has to be like written using floats. And if you are writing just int, then you will have to use int, right? But you can also use str and then bracket to change the type of particular, like let us say you have integer 3.3, and if you say like you have float 3.3, and if you say int 3.3, then it will only print 3. So you can change the type that we saw yesterday. We also said that in JavaScript also we can change the type using string, and then, or let us say you can use number keyword, and in the bracket you can write it and it will change, right? So basically in Python is also that is available. So you can say str bracket, and then whatever number is there, it will be converted to 3 as a string. Yeah, and int 3 will be 3. That is because it is already integer. Float will become 3.0, right? And you can say type, and then in bracket x to get type of a particular variable. So what is the whatever value that variable hold, what is the type of that particular value, or whatever variable is there. So I hope next thing that we want to cover for like Python is Python data type. So basically I told you that there is string, int, float, and there is also complex that we don't really need it for now. If you want, you can again come to this W3 schools and get examples of complex. So complex is basically you use I in between to create a complex number, and there is list and tuple and range. Okay, so for Django, we will be needing list and tuple. They are really important. And if you want to work with loops and everything, then range is also really important. Second important thing is dict. So we will be looking at what is dictionary, how to create a dictionary, what is the syntax of dictionary. Then we have Boolean. Set and frozen set are also important if you like for Python, but for Django perspective, if you only need it, then only you will be writing it. That is probably you are writing it in the business logic also, right? So you can learn it on your own, but we'll be looking at example of set, but frozen set is not, I would say, important. You should only use it when you actually like need it. So binary type like byte array and memory view, this is like rarely used. Even if you don't like know it, that is completely fine. But you should learn it, like get an actual like idea of what is byte and byte array. But I don't think you will be needing it as a beginner, or like let us say when you are working on a beginner level projects. So none type is also same as byte and byte array. You don't have to learn it, but you should have a basic idea. Okay, even if you don't have much idea on like how to use it and what is it, but you should know what these things are. So second thing is, as you can see, yeah, so they are giving the data type. So how they look like. So actually, let us say string is basically you use inverted comma and then write whatever information you want, and it will become string. For integer is basically just write an integer value, and for float is basically 20.5. There is decimal value is float, and complex is like 1J. So this is basically a complex number. For list, in last time in JavaScript we saw the array. So I have like a bracket, box bracket, and then I'm writing something, right? When we say that it is array. But in Python, if you have box bracket and then you are writing something in the braces, so this is basically string, but you can also write number in the list also. Like let us say 1, 2, 3, 4. That is also possible. And separate each item using the comma in the list. And for tuple, the list is like you can add or change something, but in tuple you can't really, I think, add or change. We'll look at it. The range is basically, if you say range equal to 6, then it will count from 0 to 5. So like 6 numbers. And then we have dictionary. So we saw that we have objects in JavaScript, but here we have dictionary where I can say that I have name, and then I have some value given to the key. Okay. It also start with like curly braces. So start curly braces and then the name of key and then name of value. Right. So, and then I have set. So this is basically starting with the curly braces, and then I have the item just like list. There is also Trojan set, not really important for us. And then there is also Boolean, that is true and false value. And then there are different kind of value. So memory view and everything where you can get. So in we have also none type. So sometimes you can specify that particular variable is none. Okay, so let's look at Python number for now. Yeah, so we already saw this kind of things. So yeah, let's go to Python operators. So again, just like yesterday, we saw that in JavaScript, there is plus, minus, multiplication, subtraction, and other operator, right? So in Python also, we have different kind of operators. So there is like assignment, arithmetic, comparison operator, like equal to, and arithmetic has like plus, minus, multiply, division, modulus, and also like root. We have like x double star 2, that will give me a square of x. That is also there. Assignment operator is there. Equal to is basically assignment. So whenever I am saying that x equal to some value, that means that I have assigned that value to the x, right? In mathematics also, you must have seen that sometimes your teacher will say that x equal to pi is basically x has assigned the value of whatever value you are giving. So equal to is basically the assignment operator. We also have comparison like greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to. There is also logical identity as well as bitwise operator. So they have given the various like operator. So as we saw, we have floor division, exponential, modulus, division, and then multiplication, subtraction, and addition. I think they're pretty self-explanatory. You must have used a calculator, then you should know what is the working of this operators. Second is like assignment operator. As we saw in the JavaScript, if I say x plus equal to whatever value, that means x plus x equal to x plus what that value was. We saw these examples a lot in yesterday's video, in yesterday's session. So there is again an assignment operator of equal. So x equal to 5 will be like 5 is assigned to x. And if I say x plus equal to 3, that means x plus 3, x plus 3, like x equal to x plus 3. Basically same for minus equal to, multiplication equal to, and also division modulus, like they are applying to everything. Then there is comparison where we have equal to. Now this equal to is different from the JavaScript, where if my JavaScript, let us say I say x equal to y. Yesterday I had given you example that if I say x equal to y, that means it will only check the value It will not check the type. So string 5 and number 5 will be same, right? Because if I just type numeric 5 in both of the places. But if I say triple equal to, that will also check the type as well as value. But in Python, if I just type the double equal to, that will check type as well as value, right? There is also not equal to, and we saw the greater than and greater than equal to. Then there is and or not. This is basically the truth table that we have. So let us say in truth table you have like 0 0 is 0, 0 1 is 1, 1 0 is 1, 1 1 is 1, right? There is different like truth table for and or not. So you guys must be familiar with it. I think even if you're in mechanical or electrical, you should know the truth table. If you don't know, then please like search for truth table. So let me just so find the truth table for and or and not. Yeah. So yeah, so this is and this is not. So we have one is zero, zero one is one, one zero is one, and zero zero is one. So zero is true. Zero is I think true. No, zero is false and one is true. Let's see. Yeah, so true when the phi is greater than 3 and phi is less than 10. So x is greater than 3 and x is less than 5. So x value is 5. So x is greater than 3. That is true. And x is less than 5. That is also true. And we saw that when we have two true, so 1 and 1. It, no, I don't think that is correct. Let me see. X is less than 10. That is completely true and true. So we, if both of them are true, then we are getting true in and. Okay. And in or, I don't think we will get it. So let's check. Okay. Table for Python. Yeah. So logic gates. Yeah. Now it is called logic gates. So in Python, what we have is, so basically, when we have 0 and 0, it will be 0. Okay, we will get some value. So let us say if I have true and true, I should get true. If I have true and false, then I will only get a. Okay, so let me see. For example, I will is same Python. 0 is always false. Okay, so here 0 will be false and 1 will be true. So if I have like false and false, it is giving me true, but I don't think it is working with by that logic. So false and false is true, right? So true and true will be false. But I think what it is giving is that if both of them are same, then I'm getting same value, right? No, this is NAND gate. Okay, let's just read the operators. Returns true if both of the statement are true, and return true if one of the statement is true. Okay, now it makes sense. So here, x is greater than 3, we know, so it is true, and x less than 10 is also true. So here, both of the statement are true, so we are getting true. And here, on the or statement, we again got true because one of them is true. So it doesn't matter if both of them are true, if one of them is true, we will get true. So that is the logic behind it. So as I said, you have to read these things. Okay, it changes for different languages, but I think it will be same for most of them. If you have learned C and C++, you will get it. For not is basically like reversing it, and we also have like identity is and is not return true if both variable are same object, and return true if both variable are not the same object. So if let us say x is y, if both of them are like same thing, let us say x equal to 5, y equal to 5, and it is saying that 5 is 5, then basically it will return true. And if it is like x is equal to 4 and y is equal to 3, then it will return true because both of them are not same. Yeah, so we have in and not in. So basically it is used in list and loop. So if I want to check if particular element is inside a loop, or let us say if I want to check particular element is inside a list or dictionary, then we use in and not in. And yeah, bitwise operator, they are not really used. Yeah, so the truth table that we saw will be applied on the bitwise operator, right? So that is the difference between bitwise and the and keyword. Remember it. Yeah. So here they are saying, so 6 and 3, it is giving, yeah, so it is doing the bitwise operation. So AND operator compares each bit and set it to 1 if both are 1. Otherwise, it will be set to 0. In the AND, we saw that if both of them are like 1, then like set to 1 if both of them are 1. I think it can also perform other operations such as 1's complement and 2's complement also using this kind of thing. But again, you have to see how these things are working. Second important thing for Django is basically list. So in list, what we say is name of the list. And then what we do is we say there is a list in the bracket. What we do is we add the name of element. So list is basically list are used to store multiple item in a single variable. Okay. So list is one of the 4 built-in data type in a Python to store the collection of data. The 3 other are tuple, sets, and dictionary. We will be looking at what is tuple, set, and dictionary also. So list item are ordered, changeable, and allow duplicate values. So basically, we saw there is some function on array, right? So you can sort an array, you can de-sort an array, you can add an item using pop and push. So in list also there are some functionalities available. We can perform those functionalities on list too. So list item are indexed. So first item is like 0. We saw that yesterday. So basically they start from 0 and they just keep on going until it is like stopping. So let us say if I have 7 elements, the index will be from 0 to 6. Okay, so it will allow duplicate, but I don't think the tuple will allow the duplicate. So tuple are used to store multiple item in single variable. We saw that. So tuple item are all like order unchangeable. You cannot change the like tuple items, and it will also allow duplicates. So you write the name of tuple and then you say rounded bracket and then you give each element that is inside the tuple. So this is the basic syntax of tuple. Just remember the syntax when we'll be working with the like actual Django project. I will be show you like based on this syntax, you will be able to easily understand what is going on. So in sets is basically, let us say I have my set and then I can have curly braces and then all the elements that I want. So set is basically set are used to store multiple items in single variable, and set has again, so it is unordered. So you cannot like order it. So if I try to use something like sort, it will not work. And then it is unchangeable. So I cannot change what is already in the set, right? And it is also not indexed. So this is the difference between like set and I would say list and tuple. Okay, so tuple allow duplicate values. The tuple we cannot change it. In list we can change the element, and in set we cannot change it. We can also not order it as well as we cannot index it. And second is dictionary. So dictionary is important. We use dictionary a lot when we will be working with the Django. You will see that dictionary is being used a lot. So in the dictionary, we can have like key and pair. So in yesterday also we saw that dictionary are used to store data in key and value pairs. Our dictionary is collection which is ordered, changeable, and do not allow duplicate. So I cannot have like brand font and then I cannot have like brand and again font. What I have to do is I have to create like again let us say a list inside the dict, right? We saw that in the object in JavaScript that let us say if I have a dictionary, so what I will do is I will create a list and inside that list I will get that, or I can create another dictionary inside the dictionary. So the dictionary items are ordered, changeable, and they do not allow duplicate. We saw that. Yeah, so year, if we have like year twice, it will not work. This is, I think, pretty self-explanatory. And you can see that we can have list inside the dictionary also. So let us say if I have color, then I can say red, blue, white, and blue. And again, there are functions for the dictionary itself. So if I want to like get access to the red variable particularly, then I can access it also using the function that I inbuilt. Uh, there is constructor. Yeah, so constructor is basically dict. So if what I can do is I can use the dict keyword, and then in the bracket I can give the name of let us say the key and name of value, and it will create a dict and store it into this dict. Right, we saw that in the JavaScript that we have constructor. Constructor is basically they are using keywords and keyword argument. So let's see, for keyword there might be some example. So there is Python ARGS. So they are basically argument in JavaScript. We saw that yesterday. One time what we had was we in the splice we had the position from where we want to slice it, and then we have like number of like inputs that I want to add, and then I can just add whatever input like I want to add into array, right? So that was basically argument, right? So in the argument I can enter same like whatever number of parameter I want of same type. And in keyword argument, I can enter parameters in key and value format. So whatever parameter I want. So let's say you have a function, but you don't know what the user will be adding. Then you can use argument, and you don't know like how many number of parameters a user will add. Let us say you know what type of parameter you will be adding, and your function will be working with that kind of parameter only, but you don't know how many parameters you want. Then you can use argument. Same with keyword argument, you don't know like you know like what kind of parameters you want, but you don't know how many parameters will be provided. So then you can use KWRA, that is keyword argument. So let's look at the example of argument and keyword argument. So this will be also important, and I recommend you, if you are not understanding it, then try to learn it yourself, so that you will get like more familiar with it, and it will be really easy for you to work with Django. So the ARGS keyword will allow you to do this, to take in more argument than the number of formal arguments that you have previously defined. So let us say I have defined that I want argument, right? So what I can say that star argument, that will be saying that I can have one type of arguments and number of times. So basically, if I say define my function, so in Python, instead of using keyword function that we used in the JavaScript, we use def keyword to define the function. So define and then the name of function, and then I can say that star argv. So in JavaScript, you must have seen that I can say function, name of function, and then I can say what parameters I want. In Python, I can have the name of parameter as well, but if I want like a number of arguments, then I can say that star argv. Then it will like take the n number of like parameters. So you can say that in argv print arg, and then here I am giving a string value. So hello, and then the next is parameter is welcome, next parameter is true, and then the fourth parameter is gigs for gigs, right? And then it will print each one by one. We saw how for loops work. So for, then let us say for I in list, right? So that is the like funda that is going on. In the JavaScript, what we had was for, and then I have to specify the I variable. So let us say I have to say let I equal to 0, but here I don't have to use any keyword. I can just like initialize a variable, and then I can say in argv, that is in the arguments. So it will print each and every argument one by one. That is what I'm doing. So hello, welcome, and then two and gigs for them. So next is like basically again we saw in splice we can have one fixed argument, and then we can have a number of argument of same time if you want. So in splice what we had was we had two fixed argument that we had to give, and then from third onward element I can just keep on adding the elements that I want in the parameter display, and then that parameter elements will be added in the actual array. So that is what going on. So if I say first argument is header, and then argv is like welcome to and gigs for gig. So again, this looks same, but the hello is fixed parameter, that is arg1, and then I have welcome to gigs for gig. You can see that I'm printing the argv1 first, and then I'm using the for loop to print the rest of like parameters I'm getting using arguments. Second is the keyword argument. So a special syntax keyword is a functional definition in Python is used to pass a keyworded variable length argument list. We use the name KWARGS, which is double star. The reason is to allow us to pass through the keyword argument and any number of them. So I can have any number of key value paired based on argument. So let us say I'm having an argument. Let us say I'm giving a parameter. I can also provide the value of that parameter. So here you can see the first, I have first parameter as first, and I'm giving the value as geek. And then I have second parameter as mid, and I'm giving the value of for. The third parameter is last, and I'm giving the value of geeks, right? So if I say func, then like my function, and then I'm saying that keyword argument, then I'm printing for key and value in keywords dot items. I'm using dot item because it is in the form of dictionary. In dictionary also you can use dot item to get the items. Okay, so you can use the let us say the name of key and name of value. In dictionary you can say dot keys to get list of all the key and dot values to get list of all the values also. So I hope this is clear for the keywords and keyword parameter. Now let's look at how to handle if and else. So again, there is if and else. So basically in Python, we are just using the keyword if, then the condition, and then the colon, and then I can like make an indent, and then whatever the logic is there, I can write it and then perform it. And if I come back like de-indent, so let us say if I have print, right? So I have print, and if I say enter, and I'm de-indenting, and right, and if I say print hi. So this is on different scope, and this is a different scope. So if I run it, then I should be getting high on different line, right? Yeah, so I'm getting B is greater than A. That is the if statement, and I'm also getting high, right? So next thing is that you saw that this is how we write if, but there is also so indentation. Python relies on indentation or white spaces at the beginning of line to define scope of a code. Other programming languages use curly brackets for this purposes, like we saw in the JavaScript. When the curly brackets start and end, that is a particular scope of that code. So next we have if and else. So I have if block, I have some condition, it will like perform that condition. Then I have elif. Instead of else if, I have elif, that is elif, and then the condition, then I can say print. Then at the end I can say else, and then I can print the value of else if both of these conditions do not satisfy. In JavaScript we had if condition, and then I can have else if condition, and then I can just have else. Again, I also have while loop and also for loop. So while loop is basically something will keep on running until a condition is satisfied. So if I say I equal to 1, and I'm saying that I is less than 6, that is just print the value of I until I is less than 6. If I becomes equal to 6, that will the condition will not be satisfied, then it will stop the execution of the while loop. And I'm also saying that please increment the value of I after every loop. So there is one loop, the value of I was 1, I have printed it. Now I'm incrementing that value. So this basically means I equal to I plus 1. So basically 1 equal to 1 plus 1 will become 2. And then 2 plus 1 is basically become 3, right? So in every rotation, the value of I will change and it will be printed. And this will keep on going until this value is not satisfied. So until this value is satisfied, the loop will keep on running. There is also break. So let us say if I want to keep the loop running until I is less than 6, but let us say for a reason I want to break it when the I becomes 3. So I can say if I equal to 3, then I can say again, and another indent I have to add to specify the scope of if block inside the loop. So there will be 2 indents. So second indent, and then I will say break, and then I will come back to the while scope, and then I will say I plus equal to 1 to increment the value of. Again, there is continue. Same thing I can do. If I have continue, that means it will just keep on running. It will not stop. Okay, so next thing we want is for loop. So for loop is basically it is basically used for the iteration, right? So I have list and then I have three elements. So I can say for x in fruits. So it will print each and every element of x, each and every element of fruits. So if I say try for yourself, then I'm getting like three different elements on new line, because like I'm printing one x and then I'm printing the second x. Like second x is basically the second value of current element. Okay, and I can also loop through a string. So you have banana as a string. So what I can do, x in string will basically be the first position, second, third, and so on. Then each like a word will be printed on the new one. Again, I have break statement for here also. Same thing I have to do. I have to give a condition and then I have to say break. Then I have, we looked at function. What is function? Like I have def, then name of function, and then I can go on function scope and write a code. Similarly, we have lambda function is basically I have to use keyword lambda. I have to give some condition and then I have to do expression, right? So let us say I'm saying x equal to lambda a, and then I'm saying a plus 10. So basically what I want to do is, let us say if x is like 5, then so I'm giving argument as a. Basically x has become my argument. So let us say x is equal to lambda a and then colon a plus 10. That is basically 5. And we are operating on 5. So 5 plus 10 is basically like 15, right? So that is why I'm getting 15 right here. Basically, this is like ternary, or we can say arrow function in JavaScript, where I can like make a function smaller. Basically, that is why we are using lambda. Lambda is useful, like really useful when you have, I can say, data science, right? So there here what you are doing is lambda, and then you are giving the name of parameters, and then you are performing the function on them, right? So this is basically a function. So function a equal to parameter a and then a plus 10. So if I give like value of a equal to 5, then I'm getting 15, right? So basically I'm then storing it in x. So this basically that is what is happening. That is why we are calling the x, because we have created a function named x2. So I think if you have learned arrow function yesterday, you will be able to understand this feeling. Next important thing is arrays. Yeah, Python does not have built-in support for array. What you have to do is you have to do Python list can be used instead. But remember, if you are using list, it is important to use array. Basically, what you can do is you can install numpy using pip install numpy, and then you can use array. You will not be using it really a lot, but you will be using list a lot. So next is classes. Now classes is important because we will be using classes in views and also models. So basically I can use keyword class, then the name of class. Remember, the name of class has to be capital letter if you are creating a new class. Then whatever variable I want to have in my class. Again, class is same as template. As I said yesterday, that we can have a template. Let us say in when you are making a ticket, there can be a person, right? So that person will have name, age, and information. So you can create a template using class and then initialize an object of person, or initialize like a new person every time a new data is created. Because in like when you are like getting a ticket for railway, right? It doesn't matter if you already have account, you will always get new ticket where every time you buy a new ticket, right? So it will not be like I have already bought a ticket, I can pay for it again. Every time you are going to travel, you have to buy a new ticket, right? So that is why we are using class, so that every time we use it, there will be new instance of class. Basically, like new instance will be created for that particular class. Again, for class, what you have to do is you have to use underscore init, right? So if you use that function, so the example about classes and object in their simplest form and not really useful in real life. So this is just giving an example, but as I said, there is class of person, and then we are initializing using the parameters self, name, and age. Self is basically like, in Python we had this, right? So in like in JavaScript we had this. let us say for this particular class, self is like for this particular class. So this dot name is like person dot name equal to name. So let us say if I initialize a new person Yash, then there will be Yash dot name, though that will be my name, right? So Yash, and Yash dot age will be like my age, that will be like 22 and 23, 20. Let us say we have example of John and 36. Let us say if I say Yash dot name, and then let us say Yash dot born, and let us say 1994, then I will have year as 1994. So you can have n number of variables, but make sure when you are adding a variable, let us say year, then you are saying that comma and then year, comma, and then let us say college or comma company, right? So you have to add it in the constructor. So basically init is like constructor that we saw in JavaScript. We had name of class, and then we had to use constructor, right? Constructor keyword, and then we have to give the name. So basically in Python classes, we have to use init and then give self, and then give the name of parameters that we want. And then if I say print P1, so P1, and then I'm giving the name of class, and then I'm initializing a new instance of John and 36. So this should print John and 36, right? I'm getting John and 36. If I print P1 dot name, that is person one is information is already in P1 variable. So these are basically classes. There are also another function like str constructor is there. Str constructor is not a set, the like string representation of an object. You like don't really need it unless you are like having a core Python programming, right? Next thing that we want to look is Python modules. So what is a module? Like let us consider a module basically like same as code library. Okay. So basically a file containing a set of function that you want to include in your application. We saw that yesterday when we export, let us say export default and name of function, then we can use that function in a different JavaScript file. So basically we are also doing the same thing with Python also. So you can create a new file and then say def greeting name, and then you can print. And then what you can do is you can simply say import name of the file without extension, like without .py, and then you can say my module name. So name of module dot the name of function, and then whatever parameter that function takes, and then you can use it. So that is basically it for Python. This is all we need if you want to get started with Django. So now what I want to do is I want to install Django, and then I will show you like how to work with Django and how to create a project in Django. Okay, and we will be also creating with models, and we'll see how Django handles like basically databases and other things. So for now, let's go back to a Visual Studio Code. So I will just delete it for now. I have written this basically the steps that I will be sharing with you, right? So we will be going till here where we are adding template, and tomorrow we will be learning about SQL. So this is not like complete. I have only written like important step so that you guys can use it and then create the project yourself, right? So I will be completing the notes by Saturday so that I can give this notes to you like on Saturday, and on Sunday you can create the project on your own while following the notes and videos, so that on the day of deployment, we can deploy our application together, right? So first of all, what you want to do is, so just in the Visual Studio Code, you can see the name terminal, right? So on the top, you can say new terminal. After the new terminal has started, what you want to do is first you want to check if you can access the Python. I can access Python, and I can also access pip. Now, let's see. Let us say if I say pip, now what are the application or packages already installed with pip? When I installed Python, what is already installed? I want to check. So I can say pip list. So these are the packages which are installed using when I have installed Python, right? So what we can do is, instead of saying pip install, that is name of package manager, plus install, and then the name of package, that is Django. Okay, and then if I press enter, the Django package will be installed. But what I want to do is, instead of installing the Django globally on my entire system, if I say pip install Django, then it will be installed globally. What I want to do is, I want to make sure that it is only limited to a particular folder, so that if I, like, let us say, I am working on a different laptop, what I can do is I can cut and paste that particular folder, and I will have my working environment on that second laptop, right? So that is why we use virtual environment, where we create a virtual environment, right? In the Windows, I have like env. So this will be my system environment, right? So edit the system environment. But what I want is, instead of working on the system environment, I will be working on a virtual environment. So to do that, what I have to do is, I have to say pip again, and then say install virtual env, because I already have virtual env. That is why you are saying the virtual env in the pip list, that is pre-installed package list. But what you have to do is, you have to say pip install virtual env. And also, even if you have installed it, if you say pip install virtual env, it will update the already existing package. So just like how there is an application in your system and you can update it, so we can also update the package. So I will say pip install virtual env, then this will update my virtually env. So you can say document requirement already satisfied, virtually env, whatever path I have. And I am already on like new version, so that is why it was not like changed for me, right? I will clear the terminal, and now what I will do is, to create a virtual environment, I have to say virtual env, and then the name of env. Now remember the name of env, it will be important, because you can create n number of virtual environment in your system, right? But what you have to do is, for the particular file, for the particular project, you have to remember what virtual environment you have created, and you have to remember it, so that every time you activate that environment, you have like all the packages that you have installed, it will be available to you. Else, if you are working on different environment, the setup might be different there. I will say virtual env, and I will create like a food env. So food env, right? Okay. So what issue I'm getting is, yeah. So I have made the spelling mistake in virtual, but it is virtualenv. So now you can see in the backend folder that I have a new folder called food env, right? If I click on it, I will have lib scripts, and then git ignore, and then I will have like pyenv.configuration file. What we are interested in is, so if I clear it, and if I say dot, which will represent the root file, backslash, and then I will say food env, and if I like press tab, then the name of folder will be automatically completed. This is like a feature of like terminal, that is PowerShell. Then I can say scripts. If I press tab, the name of folder will be auto completed, and then I can say activate. Now, if I press on this, you can see that PS, that is PowerShell D drive backend, has changed to food env PSD backend. That means my environment has been changed. Now, if I say pip list, it will take some time because it is basically like, what I can say, it is indexing all the files. So now you can say I only have three things installed, right? On my main system environment, I had 7-8 packages, but here I only have pip setup wheels and like setup tools and new installed. That means I am on a new environment. Now what I will do is, I will install Django. After saying pip install Django, it will try to install Django. So you can say that it is saying collecting Django. That means it is installing. The total install size was 8 MB. Then it is like also installing other packages, which are like Django is dependent on other packages. Okay. So let us say when you have an application and that application needs some other application to run, right? Let us say if I have a Python file, but if I want to edit the Python file, I need the Python software installed, right? So same is with Django. So when you want to use Django, it will have some other packages that it needs. So which are basically called as dependencies for Django. Remember these terms. It will be really useful when you are deploying the application on Linux server, where we really use this kind of terms a lot, like dependencies and packages. Okay, so now I have Django installed. So if I say clear, now if I want to start a new project in Django, right? In PHP, what I had to go to htdocs folder and then just simply create a folder. But here I cannot do it. I have to say Django admin start project, name of project. Now I cannot have a food hyphen app. That is an illegal name for the project. What I have to do is I can have food app or I can have food underscore app. So remember the naming convention for like creating the project. So I will say food app. Now this will create a new directory, which is if I just close it, so you can see I have food, new directory of food app, right? So if I open it, now I have another folder inside the food app, and I have a file called manage.py, right? So this is the basic structure of Django. So let me just go to the food app, that project I have created. Because I have created a project, I have got a new directory, so I have to go to that directory if I want to work with it. So I will say cd. If I just say FOO and then press tab, the name of the folder will be changed, auto completed. So you can see I have like dot, which is root, and then I have the name of food app. If I press enter, now I'm in backend food app, right? And if I say ls to list what the directory of files, so I can see I have a folder named food app and manage.py. In Django, whenever you create a project, it will by default create a same directory inside the project directory with the same name. So let us say I have food app, then there will be one more directory inside the food app with the name food app. So now what I can do is I can actually create a new app. So in Django has like a project, and then there are multiple apps. So let me go here. They have explained really well that if I go to like Django introduction, then you can see that Django is Python framework that make it easier to create a website using Python. Django takes care of difficult stuff so that you can concentrate on building your web application. And Django emphasizes in reusability of component, also refers as dry, that is do not repeat yourself, and come with the ready to use features like login system, database connection, as well as like CRUD operation. So that is like basically for the REST API. So it has a built-in feature for login, built-in feature for sessions and storage, and built-in built-in feature to connect with any database that we want. And it also comes with like a default database of SQLite. So basically, when you have created the project, now I have food app. So this is my one app. So I have one project. I can have multiple apps inside that project. My one application can be used for a specific, like let us say stuff. So let us say I can have a app named Veg to have like, you know, when I was going on the Veg section in my website that we have created in the Bootstrap, then it was taking take me to the routing of veg.html. If I go to like non-veg HTML, that will be like non-veg.html. And if it's like order, then I will be going to order.html. But instead of HTML, we have something called as routing. So that is called as endpoint. Okay. So first, let me create an app so that you can understand it better. So first app that we have by default is the food app. So this is basically the settings for the Django. Here we can change the setting of Django as well as control how the URLs are working. So if you see the files that are installed, so first is like init.py, which is basically the initializer. You don't have to play around with this. Second is like ASGI, and last is WGSA. So you don't have to know what they are for now. Okay, we will not be needing them. Second important thing is URLs and setting. So whenever you have a project, so project is basically your entire web application. And app is like a feature of that particular web application. So basically, you can control the setting of your entire web application using the settings.py inside the food app. So I will be calling it as main project folder. Main project folder. So next time when I say main project folder, I'm referring to the food app inside the food app that we have got. Right. Second is URLs, where I can define at what endpoint, what information will be shown, right? Let us say slash order will give me order.html page. Okay, but when you in the website, you will see that it will say slash order. It will not say order.html. That will be default when we are creating website using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript by default, right? You have to say a tag, and then in href you have to say order.html. But in Django, the .html will not be present. You will just have an endpoint. So if I want to create an application, so if I just follow it, so we have created virtual environment, we have activated the virtual environment, then we have run it. We have also started the project, then we have changed the directory. And now I will be saying python manage.py start application bridge. So basically what is happening is that remember the modules I told you about Python. So I already have a file of manage.py, correct? So now I can use that file as a module, and the function that are already present in the manage.py, I can use those function to create new application. Basically, instead of creating the new application manually, you can use manage.py and the function that it provides to create the application and change the behavior, or let us say setting of your application, right? So that is why Django is popular, because it makes it really easy for you to manage your entire project. So I will say Python, because I'm going to run manage.py. Basically, it is a Python file. I'm going to run it. So if I want to run any Python file using command line, I have to say Python and then the name of Python. Now I will provide some other flags. So basically, when I'm on the command line and I have a file and then I'm giving more information, these are basically flags. So flags will be start app. So I want to give some start app flag to my manage.py file, and then I want to provide the name of my application. So I will say, for now, let us say food. So now you will see that a new folder is being created. Okay, you can see that in the food app folder, I already have a folder, but now I have another folder called as food. Now they are on the same level, right? They are inside food app and they are on the same level. That means this is app number 1. By default, I get food app, main project app. Then this is something that I have created, that is food. And then I can also say, I can create another app. So let us say if I'm creating something called as order. No, let us say something like my end. For taking the example, that will be much easier. So let us say manage.py, then start app, and then my app. Now I have 3 folders, that is food app, and then I have my app, right? So, and I think they are sorting out alphabetically because they are running in VS Code, and it is sorting the folder alphabetically. So I can see in food app, I have init, and then I have ASGI, setting URL, WSGI, we need setting and URL, most important files are there. If I close this, I can go to food folder. Now I have something called as migration. Init, again, we don't need to touch it. Second is admin. This is a really important file. Python provides you, it gives you a user interface where you can, work with your web application as an administrator. So instead of creating an admin panel, okay, Python will by default provide you with the admin panel. Okay, and then you can also change the functionality of the of that admin panel. You will see that a lot of HTML and CSS code has already been applied on the admin panel of the Django, right? So we can control how the admin panel will look and how it will behave using the admin.py file. Second is apps.py. Right now you don't really need it. Second is model. We will be working with this. So basically what it does is, instead of directly working with the database, so I have a database, right? And if I want to change any information inside my database, what I have to do is I have to run a SQL query, right? In the PHP, you saw that I was saying select name of column, name of table, and then what I wanted to get. I was giving the condition. Based on that condition, I will get some values from my table, right? That means I was directly running the command inside my table. That means when the user is working with PHP, he can have direct access to commands, right? And in MySQL, the problem is whenever you delete data, you cannot recover it. Once deleted, it has been deleted. There is no way to recover it. Although there are ways, I will show you tomorrow, how you can recover a deleted data, but that is completely different, and it is not like, I would say recommended way of doing it. Okay, so we will see why we are like, using models tomorrow. So basically know that what models does is it creates a Python file and it stores all the changes that you have made in your database, right? Because it has like, made a backup of all the changes that you are going to like do. So let us say there is a change of creating a new table, deleting the table, and then creating another table. But let us say I want to go back to creating for like table number one. So what it will do is it will store that command in its like migration folder, and you can migrate back to the like previous state of your database, right? So that means you don't have to worry about losing your data. You can directly like, recover your data from this application itself. That is why it is recommended to use a web framework, so that if for some reason, let us say your data is being deleted, you can migrate it. Okay, but it might not be like really good for a lot of data. But since Django is running on a server, it can handle a lot of things. But on our base system, we'll be working with the limited data so that my computer doesn't hang and we can have like a really quick look at the various functionalities of Django. Second is basically test.py. In this the test.py, we can run the unit test of our Python. We'll be seeing that on like last step where I will run simple, like I will be running simple tests to show you how to do unit testing in Python or in any programming language in general. Second is view.py. So now to understand view.py, I would like to come back here. So how does Django work? Django follows MVT design pattern. So that is model, view, and template. So model is basically the data you want to present, usually data from a database, right? So your model is handling the data from the database. Whatever data is present from the database, you have to go through models to access that data or to modify that data. Second is view, a request handler that returns the relevant template and content based on the request of user. So right now I am on w3school.com. If you can see the URL, I am on the Django, and then I'm on Django intro.php. Now you will see that I have Django intro.php. That means this website is created in PHP. I can know it directly. But in Django, we don't have like anything like .php. You only have this like w3school/Django, and then this web page will be visible to you, right? So, and I can go on like, let's say, Instagram.com. Right. So here you can see that it says Instagram.com and it doesn't say anything, right? Whereas if I install like login on somewhere, it will say /login.php, right? If I am on the login page, right? But what is happening is that in Instagram, we don't have like .login. We only have an endpoint. Current endpoint is just /. Okay. And web browsers by default don't show the like, the trailing slashes or the last slashes. So basically that is why I don't have slash, but current like I would say URL is currently the /. So Instagram.com/. So I'm currently on the root like this, I would say endpoint, right? Because Instagram is created in Django. Okay, some of the part is created in Django. That is why it doesn't have something like .php or something, right? So that is handled by view, like what information the client or the user will see. So let us say whenever I'm creating a website, what information a client will see based on the URL is provided by view. So view.py, this file will handle what information is visible to the user. Okay, and template is basically a text file like an HTML. Okay, so now and we also have a static folder. Okay, so I will show it to what it is, but for not understand template as that, so that when you book a ticket, you got a form, right, where you have to fill out your name, email, and other information like phone numbers, your age, and the amount, like number of family members that will be going with you, right? So that is basically a template. And let us say there are multiple forms, right? So let us say there is form number 1, form number 2, form number 3. Or what I can take example is that in railway itself, there might be number of form. Form number 1 for, let us say, booking a ticket. Form number 2 for canceling the ticket. Form number 3 might be like for, let us say, someone who has a quota. right? So there is quota for like senior citizen. So there might be form for that, right? But you will see that all the forms look same. They the heading will be like the same size, the color will be like, let us say same, okay, but the what information they are asking might be different. So that is what template is. We can create an HTML file, we can define the structure of HTML, as well as we can define like how the styling will look if by placing the folders on the static folder. And then what we can do is we can like specify what information we will get from that template, right? So template is like basically it is a way for your view to like show the actual HTML to the user and to get any information that you can get from the user and give it to the backend, as well as from like you are getting some kind of information from the model. If you want to show that information on to the user using the view, what view will do is it will use template, and there you can use like template inheritance as well as like various features of template to show the data from models on the view. Okay, we will be seeing what it is when we are like actually working with the project. We will be like really confused right now. So basically, in a model in Django, the data is delivered as like object relational mapping, which is like technique designed to make like easier to work with databases. We'll be looking at it in depth tomorrow. We'll be also looking at what is SQL and how to execute the SQL queries. So for now, what I will do is, so let us say I have right now. So right now I have three application. Food app is my project application, that is main application. Then I have food, and then I have app. Every time I create an application, what I have to do is I have to go to setting.py, and then I need to register my application, newly created application in my project. So in my web application will only know that a new application was created after I registered it. So if I want to register it, what I will do is I will go to installed app, and here I will say name of my application. So first name was food, and then comma. The second name was my app, and then comma. So now my both of the application are registered, and you will see that there is already some other application pre-registered, right? So we have contrib that admin. So there is an admin panel which is already created by Django. We have that where we have sessions, we have messages. We also have like static files as well as content types. And we also have authorization, right? So we can also work with authorization, admin dashboard. We can work with like static files, which is CSS and JavaScript. So what we can do is we can place them in the static file, because as I said, it doesn't matter which form I have, form number 1, form number 2, form number 3. When I go to like railway counter, the information will be different. We can manage that using template, but how they look like will be basically same, right? The size of a heading, the colors and everything will be same. And that is like static. So that is not changing. Just the content is changing. For the form content is changing, right? The styling is same. So we can place this kind of file in the static directory, right? And we will place the template which is changing in the template directory. So basically what we did was we have registered our application. Now what I will do is I will go to my application, let us say food application. I need to create two directories. First directory will be templates, right? And inside the template, I have to create another directory using the same name as app. So my application is food, so I have to create food directory. Now this is really important, and this is how you have to do it, right? So Django has specified the way you are doing something, and you have to follow that method. Second will be in the food app, I will create another folder that is static. Remember the spelling of static, that is STATIC, and remember the name of template is TEMPLATES. So it is templates. Basically in static also I have to create a new folder as of food. So now I have a folder of static, and inside for that folder I have folder of food, which is same name as my application. Similarly, I have a template folder, and I have another folder name as food. In my app also, I have to create it. So I will create a static. You can see my app also has admin apps models.py, test.py, and as well as views.py. Right. So similarly, in my app also, I will say templates. Right. Now in the static app, I will say my app. Why? Because the name of my application is my app. So I have to create a folder name my app. In templates also, I will create it my app. Now our main, I would say, configuration of Django, the project structure has completed. This is how we basically do that. And second most important thing that I want to is after you have created your application, right? You have to register that application, and after registering it, you have to create a new tables for your application, right? So we can do that by saying, so see, now you will see how Django handles databases by itself. So what I will do is, so I will say Python manage.py make migrations. MAKEMIGRATIONS, that is migrations. If I say that, then see in the folder structure, I have something called as db.sqlite3. Right? If you can see my mouse, I'm hovering over it. I have db.sqlite3. Right? So that means a new database file has been created, a new SQLite file has been created for me, which I can use as a database. Then what I want to do is currently no changes were detected. What I can do is, so Python, I can say migrate, migrate. So Python manage.py migrate. So now you can see applying various things. So now if I go to my folder where I had this, so let's go to currently on backend. So food app. Now you see this like db.sqlite file, right? I cannot open it, but if I want to open it, I can say right click. And if you have installed DB browser for SQLite, you can click on it and the DB browser will open that database. Now you can see I already have 11 tables created, right? These 11 tables were created by Django itself. I didn't have to create any table, right? So this is one of the functionality of Django where you don't have to create any table. It will be created for you by itself, right? Whereas in PHP, what we had to do was we had to create the folder by like the database by itself. We had to enter the data by ourselves, but you can see that in Django, we can actually enter the data using the admin panel. We don't have to go on like my PHP admin, as well as we don't have to like, even like care about the remote database that is on the server. We can directly change the content of database using Django itself. And if there is some issue, we can also migrate back to the previous state of our database, right? So it is giving me like, really much security in terms of data that I have. So this table has been created. And if you look at this, yeah. So you can see that it says applying admin 001 and like applying content type and auth applying sessions, right? And you can see in DB itself, I have like SQLite sequence data like basically for SQL. So I have Django sessions, I have Django migration, like what is being migrated. I have like admin panel, I have user group, like what users are there for my Django. I have permission as well as like group permission, right? We will see what they are like in a second. Now my like overall application is completed and my folder structure as well as databases like I have already completed it. Right now, what I can do is I can go to views.py. Now I am on my app, right? But what I will do is I will not go to my app for now. I will go on the food directly. In the food, I will say view.py. Now I'm in which view.py? I'm in view.py of the food application. I'm not in application of food app or I'm not in application of my app. I'm in application of food. Remember this. Just give me a second. Okay, so we have like from Django dot shortcut import render, right? So what I can do is see we created the static and template. We also like created new folder inside static and template with the same name as the application. We have registered our application in the installed app in like settings.py. Now what I will do is I will go to like my application, whatever application I want. I will go to view.py and then I will like write this. So let us say for me what it will be like. So basically I want to create a function def name of function and then I will say request. I will say colon and then it will be VS Code will already indent, but if you like didn't indent, you can press tab to add an indentation. Then you just have to say return render, then the request the parameter and then the path to like your file. So basically what I will say is render, like first return, because it is a function, I have to return something, return render, and then I will say request, and then I will say the path. So what my path was. So basically path is your name of so template is going to be in the template folder. Django already knows that whatever template the user is going to give me in the view. So the what is the job of view? It is to show me like template on the interface, right? So whatever template I will be giving the URL, it will be shown on the particular function, right? So in my routes.file, if I say home, then on that particular endpoint, this particular content of this particular template will be shown. So first I will create a HTML file. So in template and then in food, I will say new file and I will say that home.html. It is a good idea to like, have same name as your function, but you can also say like index.html, right? So now I have index.html and I can say that h1, this is index file. So here what I will say is in the template folder, Django already knows it is going to be in the template folder. I have to give the name of subfolder, that is food, basically the name of my application. Then I will say slash and then the name of file. So index.html, right? So now my view is ready basically, but you can only use render if you have like imported the render from Django.shortcuts, right? Import render. Sometimes it is not there, you have to create by yourself. Let's see what else we want to do. So next thing is that our view is there. Now I want like, how does the view know which endpoint it wants? Like the URL has to be there, right? So I have to change the file of URL. But remember that there is no URL file inside my application. So I have to click on the right click on phone, that is name of my application, the main directory. I will say the new file and I will say URLs dot py, not url.py. So urls.py. And then in this file, what I can do is basically in food app, I have the URL file, right? So urls.py. I can basically copy it. Yeah. So now I have like admin, but I don't really like, need the admin. Right. Okay. So we have imported the path that is needed for my URL pattern to work. Now I will be importing the view. Basically, we learned in Python module, right? So from my root directory, import views, which is the name of Python file, views.py. Okay, now the view is imported. Next, what I can do is I can give a app name. So what is my current application? I can say app name equal to, let us say food, right? But even if I like, won't give it, it is okay. But it is a good idea. Like when I'm looking at the current URL file, I can know which application URL file I'm working. Second is like URL pattern. Again, same as installed application. This is simply just an list. Like, so if I say list name equal to list, and then I can say like URL endpoint 1, right? And then I can say URL endpoint 2. Okay. And if I say enter, and if I say enter, Now see, they are both basically same, right? So this is nothing but a list. It is predefined by Django. That is why we have to follow this convention. So what next I can do is I can basically like provide the path to my home, like the function that I have created in views.py. I have home, right? So I can say path, and then I can say the endpoint will be nothing. Let us say when I visit the website, I want to show the home. Next will be so comma, and then I will say views dot name of the function. So views is basically this file. So from views, I want to import a home function. And then I can say, I can give it a name. This endpoint, particular endpoint, I can give the name of home, right? So, and then enter the this comma. So basically, we have done this. Remember, don't forget to add comma in Django whenever we have this. So next is now, because this URL is inside my application, I have to provide the link of this URL in my main application so that my main project can route my application. So urls.py, see, there is an already routing of admin. That means if I like run the server right now, and if I go to /admin, I will be able to get access to the admin directly. But what I can do is, so basically, even here, so I have to say, I need to like add include. So from URLs, I instead of path, I can say include, right? Because we are going to include the entire URLs. So next is like what I want to include is from my application, import the views here also. So from the name of my application, food, import views, right? Then name will be like this path, and then include like wedge.urls, like the main, I would say, uh, what I can say, wedge is basically the name of application. So basically path, and then here I will not give any endpoint. That means that main local host, so that is the yashupadhyay.com, and then the slash, so that is root, and then whatever the routing is should be handled by urls.py inside food. So comma, I want to include let us say food.urls. So food app URL file, I want to include that. And then I can also give it a name of, let us say, name of the application. Right. So now I have all of this ready. So now I just need to run the server. Here, if I come back to my terminal. Now remember, I am in my virtual environment. I have like I am in the food app so that I can access manage.py file. So what we did was we created a view. In the view, we linked the template that I want to render in the urls.py file. What I did was I had like given the routing of that particular view that I want to show. So whenever someone go to that endpoint, what view is being used. So let us say if I go to main application is to padhya.com, then what view will be visible to the user? Python manage.py run server will basically run the server. Okay, so it is saying that include food.urls. Okay. See where the issue is. Okay, so here I'm including, yes, I'm including, and next is okay, so let's see what the issue is. So include food.urls. So I did include food, right? And URL. So okay, I have to see like what the issue is for this one. I think I'm making some mistake in routing. Fact about Django is that you can basically read what the issue is. So path includes food.urls and then name equal to food. So what it is saying is that name is name food is not defined. Okay. It is not defined. Let me check. Okay. Okay, I think I have to see what the issue is. I think I'm doing some problem with the import. I have to read the documentation. I'm not reading the documentation. That is why I think there is some issue. So we'll fix this issue tomorrow. But basically, this is how you want to do it. Okay. So I have to follow the documentation of here. So let us say I have views and URLs. So I'm importing the dot URLs. So and the next thing I want to do is okay, yeah, I got what to do. So basically, I need to add commas. Now, if I save it, admin site, I don't have access of admin in this application. Yeah. So now my application has been installed, and what I can do is to just clear the terminal. Now I can say Python manage.run server, and then what I can do is I can basically open this file. So if I click on the link, now it should open the browser. Yeah, and you can see that this is index file, right? So basically, this is the like my URL, like 27.0.0.1, which is basically the URL of localhost, and I'm running on the port 8000, right? And you can see that starting the development server at 127.0.0.1 and 8000. So basically what the issue was, so every time you are giving the, when you are including something, you are actually like, you need to add like it in the inverted commas, right? Single inverted commas. This is the convention of Django. This is the problems that we have Django. The problem with learning the Django is that you have to follow the convention that they have, right? If you don't follow the convention, it will like basically give you the error. But good thing about Django is that you can basically like read what the issue is, right? So here there was some issue. We were able to solve what this issue was after reading the issue, right? And second thing, again, it was complaining about admin. The problem was that because we had copied this line of code so that you don't have to write the code here. We had admin here also, but the problem is that admin is not accessible from the app that I have created. The admin is only accessible from the application that is created by the Django itself. So this is, I think, it for today. For today, it is already fine where we created the application and then we were able to create a view and show the information on the web page, right? Yeah. So this is index file. Tomorrow we'll be looking at the models, right? In the model, we will see that how to render the information from database onto the web page. Okay. So tomorrow we'll be seeing that. Tomorrow there will be more coding. Okay. Probably we'll be like spending all the time on the code editor itself. So make sure that you are refreshing some of the concepts of Python tomorrow so that you are not having like difficult time understanding the Python code. Okay, sir. So I think we can conclude for today. Hello, sir. Can we conclude here? I think he might be away. So for now,
Yeah, now am I audible? Yeah. Actually, I was not able to disable my unmute myself. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, okay, sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
So
Yeah,
yeah, thank you. You can conclude, and tomorrow I may be busy in some meetings, so
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
sure, no
start at
issues.
2 o'clock. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I will start at 2 o'clock, and tomorrow, guys, make sure that you have installed the like PHP exam so that we can work with MySQL, and also make sure that you have like know how Django is working. You rewatch the video, see how the Django was created. You can create it on your own so that we can directly work with models. Okay, so now you guys can leave, and we'll also end the session here for the day. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
meet
Yeah.
tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I will conduct the session tomorrow. Don't worry,
Yeah.
even if you are
Okay.
not able to join. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.